Hello, we will be traveling to our destination shortly. We will use travel guides, which will tell us where to go, where to stay, and what to see, all sightseeings, castles and palaces, cathedral and churches, towns and villages, mountains and valleys, flora and fauna, lakes and rivers. Let us find out, all in this episode of Best Travel Destinations. Many visitors use Lisbon as a base for exploring nearby sites, but they often neglect the cultural gems tucked away in the Portuguese capital. One reason Lisbon gets overlooked is that visitors don't budget enough time for it. You need at least 5 days to do justice to the city and its environs. If your time is limited, explore the National Coach Museum, the Jerónimos Monastery, and the Alfama, and the Castle of St. George. At least 2 art museums, the MNAA National Museum of Ancient Art, and the Calaus Gulbenkian Museum, although not of the caliber of Madrid's Prado, need attention. If you have time, visit the Ricardo do Espírito Santo Selva Foundation, and watch reproductions of antiques being made, or books being gold-leafed. You could also spend time seeing the gilded royal galleys at the Naval Museum, wandering through the fish market, visiting Lisbon's new aquarium, or exploring the arts and crafts of Belêm's Folk Art Museum. Foreign and domestic flights land at Lisbon's airport, about 6.5 kilometers, nearly 4 miles, from the heart of the city. An aerobus runs between the airport and the Cais do Sodré train station every 20 minutes, from 7:45 a.m. to 8:15 p.m. The fare is €3.50. Most international rail passengers from Madrid and Paris arrive at the major terminal, Avenida Infante Dom Henrique, Santa Apollonia. It's by the Tagus, near the Alfama district. 2 daily trains make the 10-hour run from Madrid to Lisbon. Rail lines from northern and eastern Portugal also arrive at this station. Buses from all over Portugal, including the Algarve, arrive at the Rodoviária das Sete Rios. If your hotel is in Estoril or Cascais, you can take bus number 1, which goes on to the Cais do Sodré. At least 6 buses a day leave for Lagos, and 9 buses head north every day to Porto. There are 14 daily buses to Coimbra. One-way fare from Lagos to Lisbon is €18. International motorists must arrive through Spain, the only nation connected to Portugal by road. You'll have to cross Spanish border points, which usually pose no great difficulty. The roads are moderately well maintained. From Madrid, if you head west, the main road, N620, from Tordesillas, goes southwest by way of Salamanca and Ciudad Rodrigo, and reaches the Portuguese frontier at Fuentes de Honoro. Most of the country's 15 border crossings are open daily from 7 a.m. to midnight. Sintra is one of the oldest towns in the country. When the Crusaders captured it in 1147, they fought bitterly against the Moors, firmly entrenched in their hilltop castle. The ruins of castle remain even today. Writers have sung Sintra's praises ever since Portugal's national poet, Luís Vaz de Camões, proclaimed its glory in the Lusíads. Lord Byron called it Glorious Eden when he and John Cam Hobhouse, included Sintra in their grand tour. The bus from Lisbon is not recommended because service is too slow. Visitors staying on the Costa do Sol can make bus connections at Cascais or Estoril. 11 buses a day run between Sintra and Cascais. The journey takes 1 hour, and the round-trip fare is €4. Once you are in Sintra, you can take bus number 434, which traverses the tourist loop year-round and cost €4.50 for one way. Sintra is a 45-minute ride from the Estação do Rocio in Lisbon. A train leaves every 10 to 20 minutes. The round-trip fare is €3.40. If you are traveling by car from Lisbon, head west along A1, which becomes Route 249, on its eastern approach to Sintra. Coimbra, known as Portugal's most romantic city, was the inspiration for the song April in Portugal. On the weather-washed right bank of the muddy Mondego, this city of medieval churches is also the educational centre of the country. Coimbra is at its best when the university is in session and the city radiates youthful energy. Noisy cafeterias, raucous bars, and events, such as crew races, lend a certain joy of living to the cityscape. Coimbra has two train stations, Coimbra A and Coimbra B. Coimbra B station is mainly for trains coming from cities outside the region, but regional trains serve both stations. Frequent shuttles connect the two. The train ride takes 5 minutes and costs €1.50. At least 16 trains per day make the 3-hour run north from Lisbon. It costs €15 one way. From Figueira, there's one train per hour. The trip takes 1 hour and costs €2.10 one way. The bus station is on Avenida Fernão de Magalhães. 14 buses a day arrive from Lisbon after a 3-hour trip that costs €13 one way. 13 buses per day make the 6-hour trip from Porto. The one-way fare is €11. If you are driving by car from Lisbon, take the express highway A1 north. The journey takes less than 2 hours if there isn't too much traffic. Trip to the 9 Portuguese islands, the Azores, is one of the most offbeat travel experiences in Europe. This island chain is one of the most isolated in the Atlantic Ocean. The archipelago spans more than 800 kilometers, which is 496 miles, that stretch from the southeastern tip of Santa Maria to the northwestern extremity of the island of Corvo. The chain's largest island is São Miguel. Today, the Azores are widely known within yachting circles as the final destination for annual sailboat races from Newport and Bermuda. The island of Madeira, 850 kilometers, which is 527 miles, southwest of Portugal, is just the mountain peak of an enormous volcanic mass. If you stand on the sea-swept balcony of Cabo de Raio, one of the world's highest ocean cliffs, you will easily realize the island's Eden-like quality, which inspired Luís Vaz de Camões, the Portuguese national poet, to say Madeira lies at the end of the world. If time is limited, head for the western part of Madeira, where you will find panoramic views along the coastlines, dramatic waterfalls, and cliffs towering over the ocean. The quickest and most convenient way to reach Madeira from Lisbon is on a 90-minute TAP flight. The daily flights stop at the Madeira airport, then go on to Porto Santo. Getting to Madeira's capital, Funchal, is easier and cheaper than you might think. In Madeira, planes arrive at Aeroporto de Madeira, east of Funchal, at Santa Cruz. Taxis into Funchal's center can take from 15 to 20 minutes, and cost €25. Obidos is a charming town to explore. There are narrow cobbled streets, traditional painted houses, and an imposing medieval castle. Entered through a tile-coated gatehouse, the Obidos is definitely a trip back in time. The medieval city rises on a sugarloaf hill above a valley of vineyards. Its golden towers, crenellated battlements, ramparts, and the rolling countryside, where windmills clack in the breeze, makes it one of the most beautiful places in country. From the Estação do Rocio station in Lisbon, Commuter trains run to Coimbra, where you can change trains for Obidos. About 11 trains a day make the approximately 2-hour run. The one-way fare is €7.70. There are bus connections from Lisbon, but the train is easier. Buses leave from Avenida Casal Ribeiro, in Lisbon, for the 75-minute trip to Caldas da Rainha, where you transfer to another bus to Obidos. The one-way fare is €6.50. About 6 buses a day make the 20-minute trip from Caldas da Rainha to Obidos. If you are driving car from Lisbon, N8 runs north to Obidos via Torres Vedras. This trip takes about an hour. You can also take Highway A8. Once loved by the Romans, and later by the Moors, Faro is the provincial capital of the Algarve. Since Afonso III drove out the Moors for the last time, in 1266, Faro has been Portuguese. Many visitors use Faro only as an arrival point, rushing through en route to a beach resort. Those who stick around will enjoy the local charm and color, exemplified by the tranquil fishing harbor. Remnants of medieval walls and some historic buildings stand in the old town, which can be entered through the Arco da Vila, a gate from the 18th century. Jet service makes it possible to reach Faro from Lisbon in 30 minutes. For flight information, call the Faro airport. Trains arrive from Lisbon 5 times a day. The trip takes 4 hours 45 minutes and costs €18. The train station is at Largo da Estação. This is the most strategic railway junction in the south of Portugal. Buses arrive every 5 hours from Lisbon. The journey takes 3 hours and 30 minutes. A one-way ticket costs €19. If you are driving car from the west, Route 125 runs into Faro and beyond. From the Spanish border, pick up N125 West. Sagres is a rocky escarpment jutting into the Atlantic Ocean at the extreme southwestern corner of Europe. From here, Henry the Navigator, the Infante of Sagres, launched Portugal and the rest of Europe on the seas of exploration. From Lisbon, take an Algarve-bound train to the junction at Tunes, where a change of trains will take you south all the way to Lagos. The rest of the distance is by bus. From Lagos, buses go to Sagres. Ten EVA buses in Lagos run hourly from Lagos to Sagres each day. The trip time is 1 hour, and a one-way ticket costs €3.40. While driving car from Lagos, drive west on Route 125 to Vila do Bispo, and then head south along Route 268 to Sagres. Porto is Portugal's second largest city and its capital of port wine. Porto gave its name not only to port wine, but also to Portugal and its language. The name derives from the Roman settlement of Portuscale. Many visitors write of Porto as an industrial city with some spectacular bridges, but there's much to enjoy here. The 15th century residence of the royal family and a bastion of trade and mercantilism, the city is rich in the legacy of the past art treasures, medieval cathedrals, famous museums, a fine library, and other attractions. The city also boasts a lively arts and cultural scene. TAP, the Portuguese airline, provides connections between Lisbon and Porto, and there are daily flights. 18 trains arrive per day from Lisbon. The trip takes 3 to 4 hours and costs €16 to €29 one way. 17 trains per day arrive from Coimbra. It is a 75-minute trip and costs €16 one way. There are at least 5 daily bus departures from Lisbon. Bus trip takes 3 to 4 hours and costs €16 one way. Evora, the capital of Alto Alentejo, a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a historical curio. Considering its size and location, it is also something of an architectural phenomenon. Its builders freely adapted whatever styles they desired, from Mudéjar to Mannerline, to Roman to Rococo. Evora, once enclosed behind medieval walls, lives up to its reputation as a living museum. 16th and 17th century houses, many with tile patios, fill nearly every street. Cobblestones, labyrinthine streets, arcades, squares with bubbling fountains, whitewashed houses, and a profuse display of Moorish-inspired arches characterize the town.
Thank you for watching this video. Please do not forget to subscribe our channel for latest updates. Let us know if you want us to bring any further research or information on any topic.